HGTV, welcome to my home. Come on in. Hi, I'm Kate Pearce. We're in Evanston, Illinois in the Lakefront Historic District, just north of the border of Chicago. We moved here in 2022. We found this home in Evanston. It's an 1899 Queen Anne Victorian. We came here from New York and we just absolutely fell in love with it. It was a complete fixer-upper. We've been having a lot of fun with it. We have a lot of work left to do, but we've done so much already and I can't wait to show it to you. My overarching design philosophy is really marrying vintage and modern. I got into selling vintage kind of by accident. I went to an estate sale in Greenwich Village with my mom. I found a cool little table, which I'll show you in a little bit. I put a few things from that sale on Etsy. They ended up selling and I kind of caught the resale fever. I also caught the bust fever, as you can see. I really love them. Some of them are really fun and modern. Others are really classical. I like any kind of bust. I really have no prejudice against any bust. This is actually one of my favorite stories though. During the pandemic, all the estate sales on Long Island in New York City turned to auctions. Perry Como, he was a musician back in the 50s. It's heavy because it's bronze, but his estate was having an estate sale, but it went to auction and I had no money at the time. So I was like, I'm just gonna put a $5 bid on this Perry Como bust and I won it. So it's one of my favorite busts in my collection. I had to drive over there and pick it up and his estate was so cool to see. I couldn't go inside because it was a pandemic, but just being on the property was really neat. I'm pretty sure this is Caesar, right? Like sometimes I feel embarrassed by my lack of being able to identify who these people are. Like this is Sigmund Freud, I think. I want people to feel welcome when they walk into my home, but I also want them to know that I'm not boring. So I have this really fun, colorful wallpaper. You're hit with my bust collection, and so you'll know I'm a little bit weird. I think that's what someone's foyer or the entrance to their home should be. It should immediately tell the person walking into your home who you are, what you're all about, and I think our homes should be a reflection of that. All right, let's go check out the first room. So this is actually the first room that we designed when we moved into the house and tackled. I painted the whole room, I think the first day we moved in. As you can see, it's round. We have a turret in our home and every room from the basement to the third floor has a rounded room. So it's a bit of a design challenge, but it's also really fun to design around. And you can kind of see that motif picked up throughout the room. I have a round mirror, a round rug, coffee table, some round pillows back there, the chairs. This room, like any other, was really built around vintage pieces like these chairs I found at auction in New York before moving. We reupholstered them ourselves. Another great pandemic auction find. Then this circular rug, my friend Becca has this incredible online rug shop and she works with Moroccan tribes and she was able to have one of the tribes create this rug for me and cut it into a circle to fit this space. So it was really the chairs and the rug that I began to build the room off of. Over here on this wall, I chose to not hang anything, and this is a sculpture by this Italian artist, Daniele Fortuna. He does three-dimensional printed torsos. He does them in fun neon colors. All his work is super cool and really marries classical art with modern design. That is really speaking to my entire design and aesthetic philosophy is the marriage of those two worlds. And I think that's why this sculpture speaks to me so much. Moving into this family wall, my uncle passed away last year and we were looking for pictures of him when he was little and we were sifting through all these old pictures and they were all of my dad's family and I said, what are these doing in a box? They're just incredible. So this is my grandmother shoveling snow, but she's so fancy while she's doing it. She has on this big skirt and this top and her hair is all done. And I don't know if that's what everyone was like in 1945 or whatever year this was, but she was just so cool. Okay, let's go check out my pink living room. So this is the space where we spend a lot of time with our family. We watch TV. My 13-year-old pretty much lives in here with her books on the couch, on her phone, unfortunately. But I have some of my favorite vintage finds in this room also. This mirror I found at an estate sale. It was $50, hidden in a garage under a bunch of dust and a pile of dirt. It's followed me from home to home. It's one of my favorite pieces and always a centerpiece in my home. This room also leads into our dining room, but before we head in there, I just wanted to chat also about this little table. When I was about 22 years old, I went to an estate sale with my mom in Greenwich Village, and to this day, the most wild estate sale I've ever been in. We opened the doors to the apartment and it looked like it had not been touched in over 50 years. Everything was so inexpensive because she was a hoarder and it was jam-packed and they were just looking to get rid of everything. So I got this barley twist table for $2, but a few other things I picked up at the sale, I decided to just throw on Etsy and see if they would sell. And they did, and I got a huge markup on what I had bought there, and that's kind of when I caught the resale fever, and that was the moment Kate Pearce Vintage was born, and the rest is history. It's probably one of the oldest pieces in my home. I mean, it is very old. It's probably over 100 years old, but it also is one of the pieces I have had the longest personally, along with my silhouette collection. And both of those things just kind of remind me of where I started and how far we have come since then. Now let's head into my dining room. So one of my favorite surprises we found in our entire home was finding this antique original pocket door hidden in the molding here. We really couldn't believe it when we found it. It had a terrible paint job on it, so I sanded it down, re-stained it. And then another really fun story about this door was we only had this Eastlake hardware on the one side, the other side was missing the hardware. So one friend of mine on Instagram, she is a local in Chicago, was able to find the exact match. Eventually this will make its way onto the other side of the door. Then another favorite feature of my dining room is this wallpaper that I designed for Wild Palace. They're a Swedish wallpaper company, and I have a few more designs coming out soon with them. Now I want to show you my powder room, which has another fun surprise. So this powder room was originally a butler's pantry, and we had a direct walkway from here through here where our fridge is now. So we closed that off. I really wanted this to be a fun, whimsical space where guests would just open the door and it would feel like a little jewel box and have some fun with it. The best find that we found when doing this is maybe second to the pocket door, but maybe not. When we were renovating, behind this wall, we found a letter from 1914, still unopened in the envelope, and we opened it, and it was a letter to what we thought at the time was the owner of the home, written in Swedish from her mother, describing her father's backache, and just really like the day-to-day back in home in Sweden. Then we kind of realized after a little bit that it was not our exact address, it was our neighbor's address. So the reason the letter was likely unopened was because it was sent to the wrong house and she probably just never brought it back over to her neighbor, and somehow it ended up in the wall. So we have this letter here framed, and we wanted to leave it where we found it, and it's one of the more special pieces in this room and even in our home. This wallpaper is also another Swedish wallpaper brand called Bell Art Studio. So that was another way of honoring the Swedish letter by using a Swedish wallpaper brand. I think powder rooms are a great place to have a little bit more fun with for a couple of reasons. One, they're not spaces we're spending a ton of time in. So it's not something that you have to stare at all day long and worry you're gonna get sick of this big, bold design that you created. But I think the other side of that coin is how much fun is it to just open a door and walk into this gem box of a room. And it's such a fun element for guests also. It's just this unexpected surprise. And I say have fun with it. Why not? It hides behind a door most of the time. And it's just such a great conversation piece. People always walk out of this room and say, wow, I didn't expect that to be behind that door. So this was the powder room. Let me show you the kitchen now. So here's Lucy, my Irish setter puppy, and here is the kitchen. So the kitchen, when we bought the home, was redone in the 70s and again was just really wrong for an 1899 Victorian. It was really modern, sleek, minimalist. So my whole design philosophy was to bring it back in time and forward in time and find that sweet spot in between. And it all started with this antique store counter. I knew I wanted to use some kind of antique wood piece for the island. It took me a really long time to source one that I could afford. Ironically, I ended up finding one in France and not Chicago. It was cheaper for me to buy this piece in France and ship it to Chicago than it was for me to find any of the pieces that I found in Chicago, even on Facebook Marketplace. But I love that it has all of the original hardware still on it. I didn't even touch this piece other than taking off the wood top and putting this granite piece on it. Another one of my favorite collections in the kitchen are my peekaboo glasses. So these ladies, they all look prim and proper. You know, this one in her little golf outfit, but then you turn them around and they're suddenly not so appropriate. These are really highly collectible actually, especially if you can find an entire set of them, which I have not been able to do, but I just love them. They're so fun. And sometimes I'll come into the kitchen and I'll find them all turned around. And I don't know who does that to me, but you know, it's okay. I love them either way. Come on, Luce. Let's show them the other side of the kitchen. Come on. So this is another favorite corner on Instagram. This gallery wall is a personal favorite gallery wall in my house. I have a thing for gallery walls. There are a lot of them around the house. But this one is really portrait focused, but I have some plates interspersed. We're in a kitchen, so I wanted to make it kitchen appropriate, not just a bunch of people staring at you. It's still a work in progress, and this is something I'm always telling people. It doesn't have to be a complete vision when you start a gallery wall or a plate wall, and this is not a complete vision. I'm gonna carry those plates over the door and fill it out as we go, but I just love how eclectic it is, and it just brings a really fun artistic element to this corner of the kitchen. And then our beverage center is one of my personal favorites in the kitchen because I love that it's not just for humans, it's also for Lucy. Lucy, you wanna show them? Come show them your beverage center. And she loves, we used a pop filler so that we can refill her water bowl, and she loves drinking directly out of it when I'm filling it, usually. Now let's go check out my outdoor space. So my husband spent an entire summer DIYing this patio. We sectioned it off. This is our kitchen where he absolutely loves grilling. We have some climate control here with heaters, fans, so on cold days we can use it, and in Chicago that's really been essential. The flooring also is just a really fun pattern mix. We have the checkered patio pavers and then these small rocks, which my husband loved DIYing, this small rock wall here. We also have our vegetable and herb garden, which we use all the time to actually cook the meals that we're eating. It's like our own little version of farm to table. All right, now let's go check out my bedrooms. So I have two red-haired daughters with very different personalities, and their rooms really reflect that. So let's go check out my daughter Josie's room first. So when we moved here, Josie was just 4 years old and she really wanted a pink or peach colored room. So I gave her about 4 color choices and she chose to color drench her room in this peach color, which is super fun. And then my husband, we really wanted her to feel at home because we were moving halfway across the country and she was just 4. We were leaving my entire family back in New York. So he built this bunk bed for her from scratch. I designed it, he built it. Also, my children are almost 5 years apart. So I've thought about the fact that this may eventually just become a guest space and she may take over her sister's room when she leaves the house. So now let's check out my daughter Eva's room. So when we first moved in, I let her check out a bunch of different wallpapers And she chose this one. It's a little goth, a little fairy-ish. It's really fun, moody, just like she is. And she's 13, so it's really grown with her beautifully as a nice moody teenager. Another one of my favorite features in Eva's room is this original tile, which is the same maker. I think they're from Michigan, as our fireplace downstairs. So even though we replaced the mantle on the fireplace downstairs, we kept this original tile. So Eva's room has maybe the most windows of any bedroom in our home, but ironically, I guess the worst light. I think it has a lot of trees and our neighbor's house is right on top of it, but I still love the feel of these windows. They're so grand, as you can see me standing right next to it. They're really large in scale. And then this collection here is how I was able to work when Eva was a toddler. She would come to the estate sales with me, and at first she was so grumpy about it, like, no, Mom, I don't want to go to another one of those stinky sales. But then I noticed that she loved these little ceramic dogs. They're mostly from the mid-century. And I would say to her, hey, like, let's go on a hunt for these little ceramic dogs. And she would get so excited about going to the sales. And that's how you make a little tiny treasure hunter. You get them excited to find something. And they're usually just $2, $3. So it was much cheaper than hiring a babysitter while I would have to wait on hours-long lines for New York estate sales. So this is how I was able to start my business, was these little ceramic dogs. So these were my two daughters' rooms. Now let's go check out my attic. Surprise, we have a third floor and we use it for so many different purposes. It's a gym space. I take a lot of Peloton classes, both yoga and on the bike, but it's also a guest room, and hidden in this wall is a Murphy bed that we recessed into the closet behind. We ended up losing a little bit of closet space because of it. And this ladder, you can access the nook above, which is a work in progress, but it will be done one of these days. So that's why the ladder has to be able to come in front of the bed, but it also can move to the side so that we can get the bed down. And then we have another hidden mural behind the bed. We have a lot of families stay here. A lot of my family from New York comes to visit. I went to college on the East Coast, so a lot of my college friends will come. Easy to put back into the wall also. Maybe my favorite little space on this entire floor, it's this tiny little nook, and my daughter designed the wallpaper. So ever since we've moved in, we've let our older daughter have a lot of fun with this space. She asked if she could design a wallpaper, and she's always been such a great artist. She also just loves fashion design. So she made these figures, designed these outfits. She put it into some program to add the lines down the middle, and we had a wallpaper company print it out for us. We installed it. It is the favorite sleepover spot in our entire house. Now we're gonna go check out our cinema room, which is currently a work in progress. So this is not a complete vision. This will be a cinema room, but we'll be installing a projector in here. We have some velvet drapery that will give it that old school Art Deco cinema feel. I do all of the design and my husband does all of the building, and there's really nearly no crossover. It really works. Like, he really has that engineer mind. He loves numbers. He loves precision. You give me a ruler or a tape measure and I break out in hives. You know, it's bring us together and we're able to create some really cool spaces. Seeing the home and the architecture, letting that speak to me is also very important. So I wouldn't design an 1899 Victorian in the same way I would design a mid-century home. And it's all about that interplay and that conversation between the home's architecture, bringing it into the 21st century, but allowing its history to still speak to it and finding that sweet spot between those two things. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the tour. We have so much more going on, so you'll have to come back real soon. We'll see you next time. Bye.